everybody, I am Danny Otto. Welcome into another episode of That Recap Show. Now, before we start the episode, just wanted to issue major spoiler alerts. We are going to be talking about everything that happened in the Hawkeye finale. So if you haven't seen that yet, you may want to pause this video, head over to Disney Plus, and then come back and enjoy the breakdown. Now, with that out of the way, let's start the show.
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
All right, joining with me for all the breakdown from the Hawkeye finale. It's the one, the only, it's Jon Jon Rico.
It's me again.
It's you again. Look,
Hey guys.
so many things happened in this finale. Like,
It was.
I mean, I feel like we keep saying this over and over again, but I mean, this series has been absolutely intense. And I mean, what better way to end the series than a triple stuffed Oreo version of a finale? Like, not only was it longer, but they had to tie off every single storyline in this, and it pretty much worked. I really liked it, and they left things open for other series to go. So I got pretty much everything I wanted, and so I'm just gonna kick this off with initial reactions. Two things that stood out to me the absolute most, and there's so many things I could have chosen from. But Fisk in a Hawaiian shirt. I cannot be the only person who just wants an entire series, an entire episode where he is just in a Hawaiian shirt at like a tropical paradise, just hanging out. Like, I just kind of want like that. Like,
that fedora too.
Yeah, Fisk on vacation, basically.
Oh yeah, dude. Vacation Fisk.
Yeah, Vacation Fisk, Fisk's big day out, or just something like that. I really want to see, but also, and I said this last week, and I was gifted. It's this close to the holidays. I was gifted with a present of more Yelena and Kate. The elevator scene was absolutely incredible. It was funny. It had action, and it had personality, which is what I really love about their dynamic. It's this, you know, we're getting both of their personalities, we're getting the action, and we're getting the comedy. And I really like that. And I would love to still see some sort of series with them, series or movie, something like that moving forward with those two in it. But anyway, I could talk forever about this episode. But before I go on too far, Rico, what were some of your initial reactions from this finale?
Boy, yeah, this was an action-packed finale. Not everything was executed to perfection, in my opinion, but we got some really great character moments, like you said, between Kate and Yelena. That whole scene between them on the elevator, and then the dolly shot, kind of going through the different rooms of the building on that floor, was actually one of my favorite parts of the whole episode. But yeah, I really like seeing those two characters interact with each other, and I do think that there's going to be something with those two in a bigger project going forward. Like, I don't think, after seeing the reaction that people did with those scenes, that Marvel's probably going to capitalize on that for sure. But yeah, more character development for Clint, of course, tying off pretty much everything that's gone on with him, going on from Endgame to the Ronin suit itself. Got him and Kate, their relationship is even more solid now than it's ever been. And he finally referred to her as his partner, which is pretty cool. Got to see her reaction to that too. She's like, "Whoa, I'm Hawkeye's partner." But yeah, overall, it was a great finale. Danny, that's all I'm going to say that for right now. It was a great finale.
So you want to big takeaways?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to kick us off with another one of my favorite scenes from this finale episode, and it was the building arrows montage. And I don't know if you had these thoughts, but I totally did when I saw this. As soon as it starts, there is the blueprints laying on the table. I immediately had flashbacks of Home Alone. Like the whole scene where he's setting up all of the booby traps for the house, and even
Yeah.
Home Alone 2, that was in New York itself.
Using his
Again, with
toys and stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
So it
like
was
that.
just like I was getting these major Home Alone vibes from that whole scene. I mean, it was an incredible scene seeing not only Pym Tech and Stark Tech, but all of these different Arrow things that were going into their building. But I was just getting Home Alone vibes left and right from that entire scene, just the way it started and the way it was going. They could have put like the same holiday soundtrack behind it, and it would have just been like an adult Home Alone, as far as I was concerned. But anyway, so what was your first big takeaway?
Okay, so I got a couple here. One good, one bad. I'll start off good right now. Clint and Yelena kind of coming to an understanding in this episode was extremely well done. It kind of hit that emotional core of the episode to me. Yelena just kind of asked him straight up, like, "Hey, I need to know what happened," and she doesn't believe him at first when he tells her, and of course he's got to convince her a little bit, like letting her know like what kind of person she was. They kind of understand, and of course he pulls out the famous whistle that only she and Natasha shared between each other. So as soon as that happened, she's like, "Yeah, she talked about you all the time. She loved you. Of course, you knew exactly the kind of person she was. She did this all. She made a choice, and she made a choice to sacrifice herself. And of course, Elena's like, dang, yeah, that's Natasha." And so they come to a nice little understanding with each other, and then she kind of just goes off on her own. And so I thought that was a really great moment between those two characters, and kind of one I think we were all kind of hoping for / expecting, but the way it was executed, I thought was really great. Now on to the bad. That post credit scene. I understand like people were like, "Oh, look, there's a Avengers musical and stuff like that. Look at that song, it's really funny." But like, did you really have to give us the entire song as a post credit scene without like any kind of reveal whatsoever? Like I don't generally like to kind of throw these kind of vibes out when it comes to the MCU, but I thought that was definitely the most disappointing uh post credit scene of all time. Like even more so than like the Captain America Spider-Man Homecoming where he goes like where he just kind of makes fun of you, like you're just gonna come out for a big disappointment. I'm like, dang, he just happened. Like that actually just happened to me. Like I don't know what your thoughts on that were, Danny, but yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was telling you before we actually started recording. There was one thing that I thought could have made that entirely worth it, at least for me. Maybe not for everybody, maybe not even for you. And that is, as soon as the singing's done, and it pans out, and we go into the audience, like we did in the first episode when we saw Clint and his children in the audience and kind of reacting to what was going on. It pans out, and we see none other than the first buddy team in our MCU Disney Plus shows, Bucky and Sam sitting next to each other and just reacting exactly how we are to that whole song. And I would just love to see like Bucky cringing and Sam just like laughing his ass off, just going, "That's hilarious," and Bucky just going, "This is the worst thing I've ever seen."
I would have much preferred them showing us a little bit something of a hint of some of these little street level characters going forward. Whether it have been Fisk or Maya or even Kazi, because I've been saying before we started recording that if you don't see them die on screen, you never know. You just never know what's going to happen. He could have survived that stab right there to the stomach. Like if he doesn't look like in the complete mortal wound, like there's always that maybe factor.
You never
So
know.
give me something to look forward to, not a musical number. But anyway, Danny, what is your final takeaway for this episode?
My final takeaway for this episode is boom! Big reveal. We finally know who the owner of the watch was this entire time. And look, plenty of people speculated. We all kind of called it, I guess. I mean, especially you, Rick. I mean, on here, I didn't really know exactly who it was going to be. At one point, I was like, it could have been Stark Tech. It could have just been like, one of the time traveling pieces or something like that even.
Yeah.
But
I thought it was related to Clint in some form. So I guess I wasn't directly right, but I was kind of, I was in the ballpark.
Right. So we find out, yes, in fact, it was Clint's wife's Shield issue watch, basically.
Yeah.
So we don't know what special abilities it has, if it has any other than like a tracker in it, or if it was like, a retirement gift or something like that. But we know it could have been tied back to Clint's wife when she was a Shield agent. So basically, we're getting the confirmation that Clint's wife was a Shield agent who is now retired, basically.
Yeah. And if you notice when she turns the watch around, you see the Shield logo. There's number 19 on there, which refers to Agent 19, who is, of course, Mockingbird.
Yep.
And that's a direct reference to Mockingbird. So of course, Mockingbird's name in the comics is Bobby Morse. So there's a chance that maybe I think this character's name is Laura in the books, and so maybe that's her middle name. So maybe it's a Bobby Laura Morse Barton type deal. But yeah, either way, we now know that she's basically was Mockingbird at this point.
Yeah. Or at least a version. Like maybe there's more than one. Like maybe that's a moniker.
Mockingbird, basically. Yeah. The MCU's take on it for sure.
Yeah. But anyway, you want to get to predictions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. Why don't you kick us off this time?
All right. So we get quite the cliffhanger here with Maya's story with Fisk, of course. After Fisk takes quite the brunt of a beating from both Kate and Clint with all different arrows and stuff they were throwing at him. And he's pretty resilient for when you look at all the damage he took. And man, like he was so much more, I felt like, cartoony in this as opposed to the Netflix Daredevil, especially with like the way they depict his strength. Like he just tore that door right off of that car. And I'm like, whoa, I don't remember him ever doing that in the Netflix show. But I think it's cool. It's a lot more of a comic realistic take on Kingpin. But at the end, we get the last shot we get of them is basically Maya pointing a gun right in Fisk's face. And we pan up to the sky and all we hear is a gunshot. So of course, not seeing it on the screen, we're led to believe that something bad happens. But of course, as comic fans, we all know that's probably not going to be the case, especially with a character like Kingpin. So my guess is that this is where Echo's show is going to pick up from. We're going to kind of see the fallout of this scene. And my guess is that she either fired a warning shot past his head and kind of like, hey, stay away from me. Or they kind of went the comic route. And this is where there's a pretty infamous panel of Echo pointing the gun at Fisk's face and she blinds him, basically. So if we're getting a blind Fisk going into the MCU against the deaf Echo or against another blind character in Daredevil, who knows? But I think they really made it interesting for Fisk going forward rather than just doing the traditional mob boss thing. But like, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I didn't know if you were going to mention the comic line where
you know me, baby. I'm always trying to bring it back to the comics.
No, I think it's perfect, and I think it's there's all the evidence is there. I really think there's no way that they would give us Fisk and then just rip him away like that. Like, there's no way. I definitely tend to agree with you. I think we're going to see a bigger role of Fisk in the Echo series. And it would really put an interesting spin on it if it's exactly like the comics where the shot blinds him. And then, we have a deaf Echo and a blind Daredevil versus a blind super strength Kingpin. And I think the way that they could describe, like they could, is what if Kingpin took a super soldier serum? And that's why he is so strong in this versus what the Marvel Netflix series kind of depicted him as, just like, overly strong human type of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I love it. So Danny, really, what is your prediction after this episode?
Okay, so I'm going really simple because we haven't even gotten a clarification if this is it for this or not. Now, they did release this little preview teaser on social medias before this episode aired, and it was everybody saying, hope you enjoy the season finale. It didn't say series finale, but I don't know if they just said that so that like they could leave it open in case Marvel was able to return to this or not. But I'm going on the assumption of that. I would really like to see a second season of the Hawkeye series, and maybe it's not going to be Clint centric this time. Maybe it's going to be like at the beginning we'll get Clint and Kate, but then it becomes more of a Kate kind of taking up the helm of Hawkeye of like the moniker of Hawkeye, and then we can get like a Kate Bishop and Yelena maybe trying to take down a not dead Kazi. Who knows? I would love to see kind of a series kind of centered around Kate Bishop and Yelena, because that dynamic is really great. And, you know, we didn't see Kazi die on screen. So just like you said,
Exactly.
we never know. And I mean, we could always get it intertwined with Kingpin and the Echo storyline again. Like the possibilities are endless, but I thought this was a great series. So I would hate to see this just be the end,
Right.
basically. So I'm really hoping that there's going to be a second season. Like I said, maybe we center around it more with Kate Bishop and hopefully Yelena. But the sky's the limit. So
I do have one question though.
what's up?
What about Jack and the LARPers? What is going on there?
Can we have this? Can we return to one shots, like to Marvel one shot movies again?
Yeah,
because
do it.
Like
Disney Plus one shots.
Yeah, because like Jack and the LARPers as a one shot would be hilarious.
It totally fits in that world too, which is like so funny.
Yeah, I think it would be great. Like I think
all day.
Disney, Marvel, can we return to some one shots and release them? You can release them either before Marvel movies or on Disney Plus, just as a series of one shots. And I'm not saying like let's overcrowd it and do like millions of them, but I'm saying like let's do 5 more or a couple more or something like that. Just for like these characters that like were goofy, but we really don't have any reason to have them in anything right away. But just, you know, just to have them, I think would be funny. Like one would be Jack and the LARPers. Another would be Fisk's big day out, and it's just him on vacation. I got 2 right there. Boom. Marvel, you can have that. Anyway, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. What did you think of the season finale of this? And yes, I'm calling it a season finale because I'm hoping for a season 2. And what do you hope to see moving forward with Clint, Kate Bishop, Yelena, Fisk, Echo? The sky's the limit. Maybe even Jack moving forward. And as always, don't forget, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to hear about all of our video releases. Bye, everybody!